Please, I'm always ready to start.
All right, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Leadership Thursday. My name is Paul Croto, and I'm here with the amazing, beautiful Cheryl Morley.
Hello, I'm so happy to be here with all of you today.
Well, we have an interesting topic today, Cheryl, and I'm going to give out a disclaimer to everybody before we get started here today, because there may be some things that we mentioned that you're like, wait a second, they didn't say that before. So we're all growing, we're all gaining clarity, and we learned a lot. Cheryl and I did from this leadership lesson that we want to bring some awareness to all of you today and have you be aware of this law as well. So what we're trying to do here is, again, we're all about personal growth. We want to grow people. So to be successful as being a health coach, you have to have a strategy, which is only 20% of the game. So we created a course, we have a strategy in place. This is how you do it. Now, the other 80% is mindset. So now we have to talk about growing you. And actually, to grow you, we need to know how to grow you. How do I even grow myself? So that's what this book is for. It's called 15 Laws of Growth by John Maxwell. And he actually, he wrote all these books. And then he's like, you know what? I don't even know if people know how to learn. So he stopped, wrote this book, which should be the very first book any human being reads, is this one.
Right.
Because then you can understand all the rest of the books you're going to read the rest of your life. If you don't read this one first, you don't even know how to learn. So it's just fantastic. So the second law here, Cheryl, is the law of awareness.
It probably should have been the first for myself, but okay. That's fine that it's the second, but I'm telling you, I learned so much, and I think it is crucial to become aware. And Paul, you and I were talking about this a little bit earlier. I mean, now really think about it. You guys, raise your hand if you know someone who's not too aware. Right? I mean, exactly. Everyone is, because we were talking about that. I know so many people. I mean, I honestly believe that most people are not aware, right? They're just living life because so-and-so told me to do it like this and do it like that. And now I've grown up. I did well in high school. I've gone to college, and I got a degree, and then I got a job, and here I am. Oh, and by the way, I'm not too happy.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, that's happening so much, and I'm seeing that again and again and again, Paul, and I just find it fascinating that one of the very first things that we have to do is become aware of a couple of important things.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
And a great example of this, Cheryl, I just thought about this, is our health evaluation. Like, we're meeting people all day long. We're inviting them to what? Take a health evaluation. Why are we doing that? So they can gain awareness. Now, do they know if they feel good or bad? Sort of, kind of. But this taking this quiz, this evaluation, brings massive clarity, massive awareness to their health.
Right. And we talked about this, how we think it's important for us to have it. It is, but it's definitely not as important as for them to understand where they're at and where the starting point is. And I think that's so interesting because, and I was talking to a couple of gals at tennis the other day, and they're older. And I said, do you guys think that, because I'm starting to ask like a lot of questions, like to everyone, I just start asking them different questions, but I love those questions. So are you really good friends with people about your age, and you guys are all kind of going through the same thing? Your kids are leaving, you're all kind of on some kind of medication, one or two different types of medication, things like that. And they're like, yeah. And I said, so you believe that the way that where you're at in your life right now is completely normal for your age or where you should be? And they're like, oh, absolutely. It's all happening with all of us. We all, we got a pain here and a pain there, and we're taking this and we're taking that, and my blood pressure's this. And I mean, they were going on, and I'm like, oh, great. Because I just want to know. I want to know. And that's what it is. It is exactly this, right? It's exactly what we're talking about. You might be in a position where, not you guys, by the way, but other people that we know are in this position that they're just where they are because that's the way it is. and so we have to really become aware, especially with this health evaluation, which I think is really brilliant.
Well, so I do have clients. I've had clients along the years that have said, Paul, I hate this thing. I don't want to be classified as poor health. Listen, you can be classified as whatever you want in your brain. I'm telling you, you got poor health. If you got a 32 as a score, it's poor health. I remember that. I love what John said about the 21 laws of leadership. He said, I had a guy come to me and say, John, I really don't agree with the 21 laws.
With one of them.
Yeah. Hey, okay. That's totally fine. You can disagree with whatever, but it's still 21 laws.
No. So he said that, and then he stood there, and John just went on with his business.
Yeah.
And then the guy goes, I don't think you heard me. I'm pretty sure you didn't hear me, because I just told you that I don't agree with one of the laws. And he's like, oh, okay, well, that's nice, but there's still 21 laws. And, which I absolutely loved. And I love that he just sat there, and the guy kept, I don't think you heard me. Well, yeah. As a matter of fact, I did hear you. So
yeah, absolutely. So, it's you can, if you want to be ignorant, like, that's fine. This is not about judging someone and saying that they're in poor health and then for a bad reason. We're trying to establish awareness. We talk about vision boards all the time. We talk about creating your perfect story all the time. You got to focus on the perfect story, not the past story. All of that is true. But there has to be some awareness of where you are now. That's what the health evaluation is. Because how do we know if we're getting better? There has to be some sort of scale. Now, some people may say, well, Paul, this whole thing is artificial. You just made this up, which is true. I made the whole thing up myself. But it's still a scale. And the thing about a scale is it measures the same both times. So let's say your scale is off. It's not calibrated. You're like your weight scale. If it went down 10 pounds, you lost 10 pounds. I'm not exactly sure what your starting weight was, and I'm not exactly sure what your weight is now, but I can tell you lost 10 pounds. Hope that makes sense. It's a scale that's reliable. And we're going to use this as our measuring stick. I mean, no one's really questioned the score, because they can see I got migraine headaches, 5. I have arthritis, 5.
They're the ones that filled it out.
Yeah. I mean, so
we're not making it up. Nobody made it up.
Yeah. We're not looking at you and saying a score, and this is you answering the questions.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So it's a great example of awareness, bringing awareness to people. And that's what we do as a profession, is bring awareness to people. But we don't just do that for health. We do that for finances too. Where are you at financially? It's a great question to ask people. Like, oh, well, I'm perfectly happy. Hey, listen, I do not want to mess up perfection. So I never want to have someone on my team that's already perfectly happy, because I don't want to screw that up at all. And then they're like, well, maybe I'm not perfectly happy. Then we get into the conversation and they're actually at a 2. So people will come off one way, and we all want to think positive. But John really goes over in this chapter that we got to get to some reality. And we'll talk about that in a moment. But Cheryl, talk to us about some of the questions we want to have everyone answer these questions here. Some of the opening questions that John had in this chapter.
Yeah, so it's about awareness, right? So think about this, and you can even put something in the chat. Put one thing in that you are really great at. So that's what we want to be thinking about. So we need to know what we're good at. What are you good at? Because if you know what you're good at, then you're going to be able to use that and have that in your little, I like to say, quiver, right? Of all your arrows that you can use. But that's one of the things. You need to know what you're good at so that you can have that and use that, right? And I loved, I watched the Live to Lead event, and I love the girl that she was talking, and she said that she's super good at talking. That's like one of the things that she's best at, is she's super great at talking. And so her whole life she's been good at talking. So of course, what is she going to do? She's going to use that and become a speaker, right? And use that to her benefit and to our benefit, right? And so really know what you are good at. Okay, so Paul, have people been putting in what they're good at? By the way, I have a question. Is it hard for any of you to think of something you're good at? And if it is, that's okay. So if it is hard, just be aware of that, right? That's something we can work on. That's something that we can become aware of and we can start really digging into. I know one of the things I had to do is write down all of the things that I've accomplished. And I was like, I'm not sure. I don't know. It was hard for me to do that. Even though there's been wonderful, fantastic things, I've been super blessed and had so many people in my life that have helped me do these things and accomplish these things. But the thing is it wasn't easy for me to do that, right? So keep that in mind as you're writing those things down, and make sure that there's a list of more than one, ladies and gentlemen, because there is for each of us, right? Okay, something else. Okay, this is an easier one for me. What do you like doing? Traveling, yay! But I don't think that's what John was talking about. But you can put that down if that's something that you love. But what are some things that you like to do, right? I figure out.
I mean, Dr. Wallach was on the road 350 days a year, so you better love traveling.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, and it's so interesting. I think I get more clear every day and have and I'm becoming more and more and more aware that I love to help people, right? I already know that. I know that. But when I do it, it's reconfirmed and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is really what I love to do. See people lose weight, see people get healthy, all of those things. I love to do that. And I love to be on that journey with them. So yeah, that's another one. Okay. So here's the next question, Paul, that's kind of crazy because this is like a real eye opener. Are you actually doing the things that you love, or are you just trying to make something or anything work? Right? So I know for sure I can answer that question like in a split second. I know exactly. I'm doing exactly what I love. And I'm doing it with a lot of passion because I do love it so much, right? But are you doing the things, or are you doing the thing that you love? And John went on, Paul, a little bit and talked about some of the things that people do that they don't love, and I love the way that he talked about that.
Yeah, absolutely, and I can definitely tell you a list of the things I don't want to do. So, when I look at this, I can't imagine doing anything else but doing what we're doing. I mean, this is absolutely my passion. I get to do exactly what I want to do in life, and that's be with all of you and train and help people get healthier and help people get, we talk about physical, financial, and emotional health. So it's all about health. That's what we're about here, about health. But it's health in those three areas, and spiritual health too, where we talk about living the best life and having all four of those things going. So critical. And I love, there's nothing, I can't imagine doing anything else in the world but what I do here at Longevity and the people I'm around. I mean, everything's just absolutely perfect. So I can't imagine if I had to go to work, I have a job or something, I would lose it. I mean, there's nothing else I would do than this. So
yeah, I love that. And
really easy question for me.
Yeah. And I loved how John talked about some people have kind of just, and I can't remember exactly the way he said it, but like forgot their heart, because your heart knows what you want to do, right? You know what you want to do. You know where you want to, or how you want to help people and how you want to be involved with other people and in communities and things like that. And he said that a lot of people have just kind of given up on their heart or shut their heart off, just to be able to stay and do the thing that they're doing. But in doing that, I know Paul and I were talking earlier, you don't feel fulfilled. You don't feel like you're contributing in any way. And you're just kind of, I always call it the hamster wheel, because that's really what I think it is. You're just on like that hamster wheel of life, just spinning around and not really. I'm wondering if hamsters are aware. I just thought of that because I thought
they seem pretty joyous running around that circle.
We have gerbils, and I like to just watch them sometimes because I'm like, do you guys even know
how's the bird doing?
Oh, the bird is good. We have a new bird.
It's alive?
Yes, of course. Ed. His name
the
is
money
Ed.
I had would be gone within 2 weeks.
No, we have enough to eat. I grew up on a farm, so I can say that.
Has a bird flown around the house yet?
Yeah, no, he's lovely. He's very lovely. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, I'm sorry.
I
but
digress.
Anyway, people, yeah, exactly. People get on that hamster wheel and then there really is no awareness. But I want you guys to think about that. Have you really been aware? Maybe you have now because we've done the mindset stuff and we've been doing these other things. But think about the other people that you know. Are they even aware that they aren't happy or that they're not healthy, right? I mean, that's really, to me, the bottom line.
Absolutely. And you know, it's if you hate health, you know, like you just got in this because you thought it was a good idea, but you really don't like health, you don't like helping people, you don't even like people in general, that's okay. Like, you're in the wrong profession though. So you should go find something that you really love, you know, so this is not for everybody.
Right.
And you need to know that for yourself, and you need to know that for the people you're working with, that if this isn't their dream, then you got to go find your dream and figure out what is your dream. But as far as from I would say a common sense standpoint, you know, I have full belief in myself. I know, Cheryl, you do too. But that being said, I don't know of another profession I could walk into and make $3 million a year.
Right, but Paul, remember what you said. That's true. But Paul also told me earlier that he thinks that this is the hardest profession out there, which it is.
It is, but it's in my strength.
Well, right. But I just find it fascinating that it's the best, but it's also the hardest. And what does John say? Right? That the best things that you want in your life are always going to be hard. And that's okay. I love it. It's all right. But it's just knowing that too.
So the actual law of awareness says that you've got to know yourself to grow yourself, which I love that, you know. So this whole thing's about getting to know yourself. Where am I? Where do I want to go? What do I like? You know, so we're asking all these different questions in our lives to get to know ourselves and know, where have I come from? Like Cheryl said, what have I accomplished? We love the cookie jar thing, which we'll get to in a second here, but that is one of the best things we thought of this year was the cookie jar, you know, knowing all the great accomplishments you've had in your life. So all this is awareness. And you know, John says right here in the book that it seems simple, but you'll learn today in this class that it's important to base your dreams, expectations, and goals in the reality of where you are today. So that kind of goes against a little bit of what we've been saying all along, where we're just about the vision board and stuff and forget about today. You know, but even Tony Robbins teaches us how to close the gap. Well, you got to know that we're here now and I want to be here. And in between my two hands is a gap. So what is in that gap? So we got to base things on reality to know where we are now. And Cheryl and I just had this conversation. Maybe we'll take a poll on this because now I'm interested in this question. So when I'm at the mall and I want to go to a shoe store, I know I want to go to that shoe store. So I look for the shoe store, find it, and then I got to find out, where are you now? Because I have no idea where I'm at.
Directory. So he's at the directory.
Right.
Yes. And you're going to the shoe store.
Now, Cheryl does it opposite. She looks at where she is now first, and then where she wants to go. So just type in what you when you go to the mall, do you look at where you want to go first or where you are now first?
But in real life, we want you guys to look at where you are now. Maybe not, because
here's Heather. I just keep walking until I find it.
That is awesome.
It's so great. Directory. They have those at the mall? Really?
That is so funny. Listen, in our malls, you'd be walking for 16 years.
What Cheryl does is she actually drives up to the store she wants to go to, goes in, gets the thing, and leaves out the same door she just came in.
That's what Karen does too.
Wow. Like allergic to malls.
Oh, yeah. But it's so interesting because you do need to know where you're going, right? That's the result that we always talk about. So, but yeah, okay, where I want
Yeah,
to go.
so the idea is that you can start building dreams and making strides when you start from a sincere place. So what we want to do is we do not want to make things sound worse than they are, and we don't want to make things sound better than they are. But we got to know where we are. So it's coming up with that realization that here's where I'm at. You know, if you want to lose weight, you got to get on this. You know, a lot of people just never want to get on the scale. I'm never going to get on the scale because they just want to live in ignorance because they're just so afraid of what that number is going to be. But once you get on the scale and hit the number, it's just a number. First of all, who cares? You know, it's a random number. But you have a starting point now. You know where reality is. You know, you're starting from a sincere place. And actually, you could never know how far you've gone. Like, how are you going to have a weight loss story that I lost 100 pounds if you never know what your starting weight was? So you can't create the story unless you know the facts. So it's so important to be aware of, like, your checking account. We could just say, never check your checking account ever again. And just think positive. There's money in there. There's money in there. There's money in there. And keep writing checks. You know? Police will show up at your house sooner or later, okay? You need to be aware. Now, that doesn't mean that's where your checking account's always going to be, because you want to grow that thing. But this is where it's at now. So it's important to know where it is now and where you're going. So you must have a solid foundation to your dream, or for your dream to grow. So there's 3 things you got to be aware of in life. This is the lesson that John had in you know, so Cheryl and I were having a little back and forth on this, that we're trying to come up with the best way, and everyone's brain works a little bit differently. But I just wanted to point out in the notes how my brain works and how, because I was just asked this question by someone really recent, someone in here, I don't know if it was Tara, or somebody asked me, Paul, what do you focus on? You know, and I actually said this exact thing, that there's 3 things I focus on. So what you need to be aware of is knowing what I've already accomplished. I think that is huge, because it gives me that feeling of self-confidence that I've come so far. I've done all these amazing things. And at first glance, if you walk up to someone and say, tell me all the great things you've done, like this happened to Cheryl just the other day. She's like, I don't even know. Like, she came up with like 1 or 2 off the top of her head, but then after we thought through it, there was like 30. You know, so if you put a little time into it, gain a little awareness, you'll be amazed at how many things you've really accomplished in life. You know, you think back, and there's so many great things that you forgot about, because our minds want to focus on what's bad or what's negative, what's going wrong now. And it doesn't remember all the good. So I love being aware of all the good things that have happened, how far I've come. I want to know where I am right now. That's the second thing you got to know, that's living in reality. And then third, but not least, we talked about all the time is I love knowing where I'm going, which is the perfect story. So I have a little chart here that I use in like every single area of my life. I have like this, and this drives Cheryl crazy, but I have, like John said, about 30 of these little charts. And I look at different areas of my life, and I think to myself, income wise, where am I on a scale from 1 to 10? Now, everyone's going to have a different answer. There's no right or wrong answer here. You could be making $1 million a year and say I'm at a level 2. You know, it's all subjective. So, but you got to know, and it's just asking yourself, what weight would I feel great at? Not what weight would be perfect. So for me, the perfect weight for me is 180. Now, where I'm at now, I'm at 190. So I want to, there's this last 10 pounds that I want to lose, but I have awareness of how far I've come. I have awareness of where I am now, and I have awareness of where I'm going, and I'm 100% focused on where I'm going. But it's still, I need to know that there's 10 pounds between me and where I want to go. And what do I need to do to close that gap, to get rid of those 10 pounds? And it can be different things on different levels. Like, to go from 225 to 215 was easy. All I had to do is stop eating 17 meals a day and cut it down to 16 meals. And lo and behold, I went from 225 to 215 pretty quickly. But it was a different story going from 215 to 200, a little harder. You know, then it got really hard. So, you know, your strategy is going to change as you go along. And that's true of all these things. So we want to look at all these levels. And one of the things, obviously, since we're here on Thursdays, is look at your leadership level. Cheryl and I if you're going to ask us what our real titles are, we're lid lifters is who we are. We want to lift your lid. Funny thing about lifting a lid is you got to know where your lid is at right now. Like, listen, I'm just a 5 liter. I'm a 6 liter. That's okay. But at least we know where we're at now, and we know we want to get to 10. Right. So it's just, it's having that awareness. So I love having these things here. So the way I laid it out here with check marks so that I could see how far I've come. I know where I'm at, and I know where I'm going to go. Then the next part, I would come up with a map on how I'm going to get from where I am now, which is 190 to 180. So Cheryl, this next part is huge. And maybe we can have some people comment on that, how they look at what they focus on. Do you agree that focusing on all 3 things, or being aware of all 3 things is important, or just being aware that you want to get to your certain weight or a certain income level, or just focusing on that perfect story? Because that's all we've said all along, is just focus on the perfect story. And now we're saying something a little bit different, to focus on all.
Well, no, because the perfect story can include all of those things.
Sure,
so
it does.
Because that would be the perfect story, right? I mean, it wouldn't be a perfect story to have all of those things.
To start at 180, yeah.
8 or 9, and then all of a sudden you don't even think about your finances. I mean, that you could look really great and have no money. That is not a good way to live. And you could,
or have a lot of money and not look great. That's not a great way to live either.
No, and be unhealthy. That would even be worse.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that that's super important. But yeah, this next part is so good. I love what John says here. And he talks about, he says, stop counseling people and start equipping people. And I love that. So when he's talking about counseling people, it's focusing on what's wrong and, oh, you've got all these problems. And it certainly could be somebody, this has happened to me before. I'd have somebody on my team who's a constant complainer. So I was trying to fix them and help them. And oh my goodness, that just gets so old. And then you feel like you're dragging them to the finish line. And oh my goodness. So he's saying, don't do that. But what we need to do is we really need to equip people. And we do that by focusing on what we need to do to get to where we want to go, right? That's how we equip people. Instead of, trying to counsel them or help them. I always tell Paul, I don't want to say help, because that sounds like I'm going to do everything for people. And I'm not. People are building their own businesses. People are, how on earth am I going to help my friend from, I always talk about her because I'm working really closely with her right now, but how am I going to get her health score up? I'm not. I can't get her health score up. She has to do it. She's the one that has to do it herself. I will be there to support her on the journey, but I just cannot help her do it. I cannot. And I love that because it reminds me, that we all are on this journey together, and it's just not me trying to drag everyone along, which is what I did for years and years and years and years. So you don't want to do that, because believe me, it's extremely tiring. So, you don't want to do that. So anyway, so we're equipping people instead of counseling people. And then Paul, do you want to read this next part that I absolutely love?
Well, it's people complaining about situations and saying, oh, I'm going to, they complain about longevity all the time, this or that or that. And then you say, well, fine, quit. Then they're like, well, no, I don't want to quit. I just rather, and John's saying was that people are more comfortable with old problems than new solutions, which is so true. Some people are just so focused on the problems that they don't want to come up with solutions. So, and then, there's other people that just like, I got to get out of here. I'm quitting, I'm leaving, and they leave and it feels good for like a couple of days. And then by day 3, they're like, what did I just do? I got to go back, get my job back, or come back, to longevity or whatever it was. So people always think that the problem's here or there, but it's always inside is where the problem's at. It's never, right. It's never where you're at. Yeah. So I love this. So this is a kind of joke we have going between me and Cheryl here. So in high school, John had 4 girls helping him do his homework. But in college, John changed things because now he was taking classes that he was really interested in, because that's the great thing about college, is you get to do the things. So I was asking Cheryl, because I always thought about, Cheryl, what's your attitude towards homework in high school and then now in professional life? And in high school, Cheryl had boys do her homework for her, and it doesn't seem like a whole lot's changed, Cheryl, in your life.
I appreciate you, Paul, for doing all the homework.
I loved when John was talking, though. He's like, what are those things in your hand? Oh, they're books. Where are you taking them to? Home, with homework. And he just didn't believe in homework. He's like, that's not for me. That was so good. So, it's about being aware of what you can and can't do in life. And we don't want to, go out and tell people they can't do something. But I love when John says, you just watched that first opening show of American Idol, and they're just so bad. And he's like, don't they have any friends? Where are their friends at?
Where are their friends? Yeah, exactly.
So you need to be a friend sometimes to people, a real friend, and tell them the truth. Listen, this isn't going to work out. American Idol is not for you. Okay. I know you love singing. I know you think you're a great singer, but you're not. I love football, and I see Tom Brady. Tom Brady actually has better statistics at 44 than 24, which would make a guy like me think, well, I should go to the NFL and play quarterback now. Not going to happen. Okay. I'm better off staying here, running the Institute of Holistic Health, than being the quarterback of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So it's just awareness, just because I got a lot of passion for football doesn't mean I got a lot of giftedness for it.
Well, you can watch it.
I'm very good at watching it. You're correct. And I'm very good at telling them what they should be doing while I'm watching on the TV.
Yeah, I thought it was so interesting, Paul, that John said that giftedness trumps passion every day. I don't know if I've ever heard that. I always thought passion was it.
I know. So as you can see, like I warned you at the beginning of this class that there's going to be some things like, wait a second, that's not what I heard before. And there's some things that Cheryl and I have actually been enlightened about on this. And the next part is crushing to me when John was talking about this, because my favorite person in the whole world was Walt Disney and creating Disneyland. And, if you can believe it, you can achieve it. And John said that is the absolute stupidest statement ever made in history. Then he's like, there was even a song written about it. And then he starts playing the song, I Believe I Can Fly. So just because you believe you can fly doesn't mean you can actually fly.
But then, Paul, what did I say after you told me that?
You said, I can fly.
No, I said, I don't really care. I do believe that. And I do believe that if I believe it, I can achieve it. Now, that being said, I don't believe I can fly. Right. So I wouldn't be like, oh, I believe I can fly, so I will. But do I believe I can do a million other things? Absolutely. And will I put that on my vision board? And will I manifest those things happening in my life? Absolutely. Things that are like, oh, there's just no way. Oh, there's a way. And it's because I do believe that can happen. So I understand what John's saying. But I still want to caution everyone that if you believe it and you not fly, ladies and gentlemen, that probably won't ever happen. Although I did read a book about some people that could fly because they had wings. But right. And so he said, let's not be stupid, which is true. We don't want to think, oh, well, as long as I believe that, and then that's all. Here's another thing. I believe if you believe it, you can achieve it, but you better be willing to put in the work.
Yeah.
That's another little caveat that we can't forget about.
Absolutely. But one of the greatest things about being a certified holistic health coach and being in longevity is that there's no cap on how many people can be 5-star. Like the guy John was talking to at lunch wanted to be the head announcer for the Chicago Cubs. There's one person that has that job, and he's been there for 47 years. You're not going to get his job. So it's tough when you pick, I'm going to be president of the United States. There's only one president. You pick things where there's only one, difficult. I wanted to be the strength and conditioning coach for a professional football team. Now I had 32 shots at that. That's not even a very good number. But what kind of shot do I have at being a 5-star? 100%. Because there can be a billion 5-stars. It doesn't need to be one. There's only could be, one, then we'd all be in big trouble. But there's not. So you can absolutely be a 5-star. There's nothing here that's stopping you whatsoever. So yeah, I mean, John actually says you have to believe it. And I believe in that. Cheryl believes in that, obviously. But it's just, if I believe I can beat Tom Brady, I would be wrong in saying that.
No matter how much you practiced. Well, just like I said, there's no way I'm going to the Olympics for tennis, just so you guys know. I love it.
Cheryl did declare that she's not going to win Wimbledon next year.
I did. I said I'm never going to play at Wimbledon unless it's off season with someone who lets me on the court.
You said it was closed, yeah.
Right.
Okay, so the point of this whole thing is to look for the right people. So having awareness of not just yourself but other people as well. To move away from people who can't take you to where you want to go. So I've been very blessed in life. I've had great friends throughout my life. It's some awesome friends in high school. They're not here with me. They're not here at Longevity. They're doing their thing. And it's just, I wanted to go to a different place. So I had to cut a lot of, I wouldn't say I ended any friendships or anything like that. Like we still talk when, Christmas time and throughout the year a couple of times, but they're not who I hang around with every day. You have to get around people who are great. So the whole power of proximity, where states that if you get next to someone who is great, the chances of you being great increase significantly. So just coming to these classes 3 times a week, you're now surrounded by great people. You're in that proximity of greatness. And from that, you can become great. Now, if you go hang out with a different group of people that's out partying or drinking or doing whatever crazy things they're doing, the chances of you being successful go down significantly. So it's all about who you hang out with. And listen, Cheryl, there's just no one more fun or better to hang out with than me and you. What else would you want to do on a Thursday afternoon?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
So as Cheryl said, you got to be willing to pay the price to do what you want to do, though. And that's a question that every single person needs to answer for themselves right now is, will you pay the price to do what you want to do? Will you pay the price to be a 5-star? Because there's a big price for that. But there's also an awareness that when you're looking at your team, that person's a 4, they're below average. They're not even average. Now, they come to all of our classes, and our classes are the best classes in the whole world. But even our awesome classes can't get a 4 to a 10. It doesn't happen in life. And if someone says, well, that 4 did get to a 10, they weren't a 4 then. We miscalculated. They're really a 7 in disguise that we thought was a 4 at the beginning. So it's hard to judge because this is all, just based on feelings and estimates. But you can take a 4 to a 7. Now, a 7 means good. And good is not good enough in the world. You can't be a 7 and be good. You're not going to make a 7-digit income being a 7. As a matter of fact, in this world, 5s can grow to 8s, but even an 8 doesn't get far in the world today in a certain field. Now you're going to be an 8 in some field. All of you are, 8s in longevity and in being a health coach. But, it takes just having that awareness of where the person can start and being realistic on where we can actually take them. Now, 6s, we can take to 9. And 7s, people who are good, we can make perfect. But it does come down to as John said, that giftedness trumps passion every day. Doesn't matter how passionate a 4 is in leadership. They'll never become a 10. It's just not their area of strength. I'm sure they're a great painter or a great singer or a great something. Everyone's got a purpose that God puts you on this planet for. Remember, we said that the 2 most important days of your life is the day you're born and the day you figure out why. So when you watch John Maxwell, do you think he's living on purpose? God put him here for one reason, is to be the greatest leadership coach ever. And he's living his purpose. So it's figuring out what that purpose is. And the purpose is always an area that God gave you amazing talents in. So it's figuring that out and saying, listen, obviously I'm talented in this, this, and this, and I got to be in a field where I can excel about those things. So just the talents that God gave to me made me the perfect person to be in network marketing. Now I had to do a ton of growth. I didn't come in here as a 10. I was good. I can trace all the way back to high school, quarterback. I was a leader. I didn't take one leadership class, but I was the leader of the team. I was captain of everything. I was captain of every single sport I was in. I was the captain of the team. So there was some innate leadership qualities inside of me already. And then by meeting John and studying this for 20 years, I went from 7 to 10. So I'm not saying even great hockey players, great singers, great ever, have got to put a ton of work in to get to that top level. Tom Brady just doesn't show up on the field on Sundays. He practices like 80 hours a week. Now the best.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, Cheryl, I know you have a comment on that.
Oh, I do. Because I don't think anybody would have said when I was at Taco Bell that I was even a 4. I mean, a 4 would be really pushing it.
Real stretch.
Oh, it would be a stretch and a half. So I think it's super important, because I would love for you guys to put in the chat where you think you are. Like, what's the number you think you are on the leadership scale right now from 1 to a 10? You don't have to, but you can. And it's just on your journey, right? But I think it's interesting to just think about that and be aware of that, so that what we need to do to get you to a 10. Because the greatest thing about getting to a 9 or a 10 is that then the whole world opens up for you on the people who you can have on your team. Because remember, a lot of times we won't recruit up, right? We won't try and recruit people who are who we perceive, not that they are, but who we perceive is a higher level than we are in leadership. So the higher we can get, then the more availability of the amount of people we have is what I believe. So, you guys, everyone on this call, I believe you have the ability to become great leaders right here at Youngevity. Absolutely. But if you know where you are, remember, get that baseline where we can start and then just move on from there. So I just wanted to throw that in, because I certainly started at a low number, and I'm sure it was, inside me or whatever. I mean, I didn't even know I was supposed to.
Well, let's be clear about this though. So I remember talking to your mom and asking her, has Cheryl always been like this? She's like, oh yeah, since she was born.
Well, she didn't even know what you meant.
Yeah, I did. I said, like, all energetic and fun, and all of these great qualities, and everyone wants to be around Cheryl, which is a definition of a leader, is how many people are following you. And you weren't, so you had 32 jobs that weren't fit for you. But once you found the one that allowed to take your talents and use them and excel,
yeah, that's true.
You made it to the top of the whole thing.
That's true.
So it was in you all along. You were a 7 all along in the wrong profession, in the wrong job. Once you got to the right place, you just, went to the top in 2 seconds. Well, what looked like 2 seconds, but it was, a lifetime of hard work.
It was 2 seconds, 2.5. Only there's a years behind it.
Exactly. But it was always inside of you, Cheryl. You were always great.
Right.
But now you're perfect because you worked hard on yourself and found a career that allowed you your talents to have fun and energetic and loud. Not a whole lot of jobs like loud, but we found I remember us doing remember this, Cheryl, we did this thing in North Carolina. I'll never forget it. It was a big seminar we were doing, and the sound system didn't work. And we're like, oh, don't worry about it. We got this. And we don't even need microphones. We're the two loudest people on the planet. So it's that skill set doesn't work well in most places. They would kick us out.
Yeah, that's true. So we're blessed, but you guys be thinking about that as you're out talking to people, right? Because, and really getting to know where they're at on that leadership scale. And I think, just being aware. And I think I want to add this, Paul, because we were talking a little bit about it, but I just want you guys, the people on your teams now, you need to understand where they're at and you need to have that awareness, and they do too, so that if you need to equip them, but don't spend so much time with people that aren't going to help you get to where you want to go, I guess. Is the whole thing in a nutshell. Yeah.
The big epiphany for me, Cheryl, is that whenever I saw somebody's different scores and different things, I would see what they were like a 2 at. And it's like, oh, we got to work on that one because that's the one that needs the most improvement.
Oh, no.
What you got to do is you got to find the 7s in there and get those to 10. That's where the real money's in life.
Yes, I will never forget that. So I read the book, and I don't even know what book it is, but I was so excited that they said, stop trying to work on the things you're not good at and work on the things you're great at and become better. And I, for the first time in my life, said,
well, Cheryl took it to a whole new level of meaning.
Oh, I did. I'm on a whole new level because guess what? I'm a 2 at organizing, not going to do it. We better figure something else out. And I'm still driving Paul. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's not
crazy.
What the books, that's not what he meant by saying that.
Say that.
He's told me that, Paul, you got to stop trying to be Tom Brady and focus on network marketing and longevity because you're not going to make it there.
No, what he said is if you're not super good at something, then you don't need to keep working on it.
Well, we can also change the story. I think we said change the story, change your life. No, but we hear people every day say that I'm just not wired that way. Well, let's just rewire you then. So people can change, especially if they want to change. But that being said, there's still natural God-given talents that each of us have that are different. There's a talent set that Cheryl has that nobody else in the world has. There's talents that I have that nobody else has, but there's talents that all of us have that no one else has. You just got to know what those talents are and excel in those areas. And my favorite part of the whole thing, and this was probably the most touching moment in my whole life. I graduated from being a John Maxwell certified leadership coach. And he gave us all a book. And he was talking about this book, and it's called The Greatest Story Ever Told. And I'm like, wow, I'm all into reading books, and I love reading books, and the greatest story ever told. Well, I want that book. So I was super excited to get it and read it. And it was, John actually gave it, so this is like when someone like John Maxwell hands you something, it like means a lot, And then when I opened the book, I literally started crying because it was empty. So the whole concept behind the greatest story ever told, it's your story. And from that moment on, I've never not journaled. Every morning I journal for 10 minutes. So I just get out my remarkable and I start writing my story, what's happened and where my mind's at and what I'm thinking about. And this is going great. This is not going so great. This is what I'm going to do. This is where I'm at. And it's just a story. And the story has gotten so much better over the years. It's crazy how much I can look back and see all the growth. I'm looking back to the first couple seminars that Cheryl and I did. I mean, it was a hot mess, but now we're considered the best of the best.
I don't think that.
Speak for yourself. I was fantastic all along.
No.
But it's living the life of significance, that I'm not just living a surface life. And I just read a book called Deep Work. I'm trying to get Cheryl to read here. but it shouldn't be something that scares you. It's something that I'm going to, and I even talked to Cheryl about playing tennis, which Cheryl loves. So when Cheryl goes into playing tennis, do you have your cell phone with you while you're playing tennis? No. Do you have your kids with you while you're playing tennis? Do you have your husband there with you while you play tennis? So she only has one thing there while she's playing tennis and only has one thought in her mind, and that's the next shot.
To hit the ball hard.
Hit the ball back hard to the other person inbounds. That's it. And that's deep because there's only one thing you're focusing on. Win the game. I got to win the game. That's it. So too much in life, we all play the shallow game. We got all these things going on all the time. Like, get deep. If it's time to spend time with your children, go deep. Turn your cell phone off, put it into the drawer, lock it. Turn your computer off. When you're done with work, you're done with work. When you're working though, that's all you should be doing. I'm focused now. This is my 2 hours of work time or whatever it is for you, an hour of work time, 8 hours of work time, whatever you decide to do, that you go deep in that at that time. You're going to go exercise. Don't try to multitask and do 10 things. I'm going to do this right now. And the more you get into that and start making these areas of focus, blocking off time for things, the better you're going to get at those things. I mean, when you do hot yoga, how many things do you think about during hot yoga? Nothing. It's the whole goal of it, is to think about nothing. So you can look at things in your life where you really excelled at, and the reason why you excelled there is because you got really focused on it and did the deep work in that area. So I know we only have a couple minutes left, but we'd love to hear someone's comments. If anyone has any comments on this lesson or something that they're aware of now that they weren't aware of before, or just any kind of comment about this chapter. We're excellent trainers. We should win Trainer of the Year again, Cheryl.
I don't know if Caroline wants to add.
I do want to add, that was so awesome. And there were like two little things. One of them was Carl Jung's quote that he had in there about the vision will become clear only when you look inside your heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens.
Yeah. Wow.
I had not heard that one before.
That's a whole pot of gold there.
That one was really awesome. And then later in the chapter where he's talking about it's more important to listen to what you think of yourself than what others think of yourself. And I couldn't help but think about that sheet from Deb a couple weeks ago that we all said these are the things that we're going to stop, and that we're ready, willing, and able to stop doubting, and then all of those things. That was all in there about where you are and checking out your where you are right now, and keep on going. Yeah, it's amazing. I think Deb and John talk to each other because it's all those lessons are lining up perfectly I would say by magic, but I don't believe in accidents. So it's all happening for a reason. My camera stopped working again. All right, let's go to, well, Becca's always on top. So we gotta, I don't know if she's really on top or.
Let's see. Next we have, I think she is, Becca.
Okay, am I unmuted?
Yes.
Good. And so I just want to mention something about the last part, unplugging and focusing. That's always been something that I've been struggled with, and I've had to do that the last couple of days. And you guys should try it sometime. To be able to, not think, okay, if my phone rings, I have to answer it. Well, no, you've got to be present in what you're doing so that you can do what you need to do best. And if it's, like Paul said, if it's work time, it's work time. If it's, family time or a special mission, then you focus on that special mission. And was actually very much more productive in my blocks of time during this last week. So that was really good, Paul, Cheryl. Thank you so much.
Yeah, doesn't matter what it is. If you get focused on the one thing, you can crush it. So throughout the day, I answer emails for 30 minutes at one time. I don't check them all day long and answer them as they come in. Same thing goes for voicemail. I have a set time that I do voicemail. Every call goes to voicemail. So if you call me and get my voicemail, you didn't catch me during my 30-minute or hour slot that I take phone calls. Anything, text messages, like I do not respond to anything unless it's the time slot to do that in, because I got to stay focused on what I'm doing. And if I'm answering all these emails and phone calls and text messages, I would never, ever get anything done. So it's super important to get laser focused when you do it though. That now when I'm answering emails, I don't do anything else. That's the only thing I do. And I plow through them. Put 45 minutes in and just hardcore answering messages. Okay, let's go to Debbie.
Hi. Well, I love this chapter because it helps you make you more aware of little things that you need to, think about. But I also was a quote by Darren Hardy where he said that, be aware where you are now, and I'm summarizing it, and where you want to go. And also later on, tracking, take a journal and track what you're doing. So you're more aware what works and doesn't work, which is exactly what Deb Erickson and the health review does. So I know I'm on the right track.
Absolutely. Well said. Thank you, Debbie.
You're welcome.
You take one more call, Cheryl?
Okay, one more. And this is Hattie, you don't want to go? I know Hattie had her hand up. Okay, nope, she's saying no. So, okay. All right, one more, Shantae, and then we will have to jump off here because I've got another call. Hi, Shantae.
Let's see. Am I unmuted?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I am. Okay, good. All right. So this is what I have been working on with a combination of Lewis Howes and his School of Greatness. So it's something that I latched onto. And let me change glasses because anyway, so I wanted to pass this by and I didn't know it was going to work out, but it kind of goes along to what we were saying. This is what I have written out, and it's not really my e-card and it's not really my avatar. It's just answers the question who you are, who you help, and how you help. And this is what I've come up with so far. It will need tweaking, I'm sure, and we don't have to go over it now because we're at a time crunch. It's fine. But I felt good about accomplishing this. It's taken me a lot of thought and I will continue to think about it. But anyway, I believe you and I are meant to be our best selves. I am a holistic health coach who senses, identifies, and connects with individuals who vibrate a desire to live their best lives. I craft customized and attainable goals with built-in checkpoints for measuring progress. I utilize various tools, including superior, scientifically verified medical nutrition that make rapid results a reality. I think together, you and I can experience a new level of our best selves. Let's begin today.
So great.
Awesome. Shantae, that was great.
So just by
Really?
doing, I know that was difficult to do and difficult to come up with, but by working through that, you gain massive clarity. You gain a lot of awareness is what happened. And that's the most important thing there is having that awareness. So I thought today was a great lesson. I love this concept of being aware. I think just over the past couple of years, I've made this concept of awareness really prevalent in my life. And it's made a huge difference because I realized that every time I write something down, every time I think about something, I'm becoming more aware of it. And that awareness alone has caused me to excel at things. So instead of just being ignorant and trying to pretend that doesn't exist, let's get aware of it and again, not make things worse than they are, but not make things better than they are either. Know where you're at and absolutely know where you're going. So Cheryl, any final comments you want to make?
Nope, I thought this was awesome and has been and is one of the most important things I've ever done is just to become aware of, the three things that we have to do, where we're at, where we're going and where we want to go. So
Yeah,
I love it.
So great. Great job, everyone. Have an
Thanks, you
amazing
guys.
weekend. Well, tonight's Find a Fabulous, so make
Tonight.
sure if you are female, you are going to that. If you are
Yep.
male, you're not going to that. You're going to watch Thursday Night Football with me on ESPN. And,
Oh my. Okay. Well, we're
and
gonna
we
become
will see you
fabulous.
on Monday for Mindset Monday.
All right, you guys have a great weekend. See you tonight.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
The time to do the
Thank
talk,
you.
to meet together,
Bless
it would make the
you.
difference. And that
God
is
bless
the
you.
reason
Thank
why
you.
I have
Thank
asked
you.
all year, even
Thank you.
before
Thank you.
COVID,